So back in the Suzuki Sport hybrid, after driving 1 liter ST line, turbo, 1 liter turbo as well. Was a nice car, no complaints there, but of course it misses a lot of the punch power that this Swift has. Also, it felt a lot less capable in the braking and underpinning department. That being said, the gears are a little bit more longer spaced. Also the throws through the gearbox, there are a lot longer throws, so you have to move more to get it to shift. But it felt decently powerful. So it only had 100 horsepower. You also have them, I think, with 115 horsepower. But with a chip tune, it will get to, I think, 240 Newton meters of torque and about 145 horsepower. So 45 horsepower gain, that's immense. 45% gain is immense. I would always advise that, and I think that is the case because also 115 horsepower, that would only get like 30 horsepower gain, which is still very excellent. But this is a detuned engine, so you have additional gains when you go to the chip tuner. So that would be a big advice. The underpinnings are nice. Lift off oversteer is also there. The grip levels were a lot less than with the Swift. The car weighs about 70 kilograms more, but only has a 1 liter 3-cylinder. So you're losing out on 1 cylinder, you're losing out on hybrid technology, you're losing out on a lot of creature comforts. I will come back to that later. And you will lose out to so 1 additional cylinder, but also 400cc in displacement, which is quite huge altogether. Then the creature comforts, no heated seats, also had that red stitching that you also see here. The steering wheel felt nice. Also the flattened out bottom I really like. The body kit is also nice because it is ST line. Not as nice as the Swift because the Swift is a lot more thought and detail went into that. And also more advanced body kit. But it was a nice body kit, I must say, even for a 1 liter. It looks nice and sporty for being just a Fiesta. But you also don't get the parking sensors in the back, you don't have rear facing camera, and still 70 kilograms heavier. So all in all, I would never advise to get the Fiesta over the Swift. I think if you would have a Swift with even a 1.2 liter, so the baseline Swift, it will drive nicer than that Fiesta. Of course it will have a lot more mid-range torque, but standard, I think that has like 85-ish horsepower, that Swift, but it weighs about 800 kilograms, so it will weigh about a quarter, so you have to put an additional quarter of weight of this Swift, 1.2, to get to the weight of the 1 liter turbo Fiesta, so that will make up a lot of the horsepower. So it will have more horsepower per kilogram unit with the Swift, the base level Swift, and that Fiesta with the 1 liter turbo. It's quite insane. If you compare it with a 1 liter turbo Swift, which is no longer available but would be more direct competitor, then you get 110 horsepower to begin with, so 10 horsepower more, and also a lot less weight, even more less weight than the Swift. So that would make a mincemeat out of all those Fiestas. That being said, as a runner-up, if you're not a type of guy that likes Japanese cars and you're a Ford fantastic enthusiast, I think you will have a nice car with the Fiesta. It's not too small, not too big, a little bit like the dimension of the Swift. It has a nice, that 1 liter turbo engine is a nice engine, especially if you give it that release of restrictions. 45 horsepower, 45% additional horsepower will make it change, will completely change that car and will make it on par with, almost on par with a baseline non-tuned Suzuki Sport hybrid. If you're going to tune it, you will have more torque than the baseline Swift 1.2. If you're going to tune it, of course, this difference will change even a lot more into the advantage of the Fiesta, because the turbo cars are much easier to extract more horsepower and torque out of. So once you're going to tune it, normally aspirated engine without turbo just loses out completely. But just to take that into consideration, if you're willing to do the chip tune, you will get a lot stronger car, of course. On the flip side, there are also 1 liter turbos, Swift available, and also you could have for almost the same price Suzuki Swift Sport hybrid, which is far more capable, of course, because you have now a 4-cylinder, bigger displacement, bigger horsepower to begin with, better gearbox, better underpinnings, better brakes, better seats. Seats are also, those other seats are just regular seats. These are really bucket seats. And you get all the creature comforts that you want, which are add-ons to the Fiesta. So you have to pay again for all those add-ons. And if you do that, I think you could have a Swift with the specs of the Swift for equal or even perhaps less money than that Fiesta 1 liter in the Netherlands at least. So that would make it an easy comparison. Other things that the Fiesta is good at, I think it might be a little bit more frugal than the Swift is, because it only has 3 cylinders and 40% less displacement, which is huge. But it is a heavier car to begin with. So please also take that into consideration. It's 70 kilograms heavier. I think with the addition that I made also used 6 kilograms lighter exhaust system, 6.6 kilograms lighter by AKS, and some other things that I advanced upon. I think it might be changes like 7 kilograms. Then it's 888 kilograms versus 1065 kilograms. Then it might be about 7.5%. So even with the same horsepower, because it's 7.5% lighter, it will of course be faster. And not only faster in straight line, faster to the bends, faster in braking, but it also has better brakes. It even has stronger axles where the rims fit on than the Fiesta ST with a 1.5 turbo 3-cylinder and 200 horsepower. So this is a very good base, the Swift. I'm very glad that I'm back to the Swift, even though the Fiesta is normally raved upon because it's such a good driving car. I think all the good points of the Fiesta, the Swift has as well, and then some. And also, the thing what I don't like about the Fiesta and I really love in the Swift, the basic Swift, that wallows also a little bit in bends. The Fiesta feels stiff, even though it still goes a little bit sideways to the bends, like a base Suzuki Swift will do. But now I have about the stiffness, perhaps even a little bit that less in the Swift, because it's lowered and has suspension upgrades. But it's still, it will go a lot flatter around corners, which makes it a nicer car. So you don't feel this boat-like behavior, not even a bit now in this car. So you have the stiffness there, but also it does not move, and the Fiesta still moved. And that makes it a car that is able to deal with the bumps, but of course it's a much heavier car. If you compare that 1 liter turbo with a Swift with the same 1 liter turbo configuration, I think you will see perhaps 300, yeah, maybe 270, 250 kilograms difference between those, and that will give you an indication how easy they can make the Swift being stiffer, being more advanced, and also easier to cope with hurdles in the roads than it would be the case with the Suzuki, with the Fiesta, because it's 250 kilograms heavier with the same 1 liter turbo 3-cylinder. And if that is the case, then you can imagine that if you have a softer car to begin with and you would lower that, of course you will increase some of the stiffness. So you will become on the level, the base level stiffness of that Fiesta, but you will be sitting far lower, and it will not was a wet spot on the asphalt. So you have this white painted areas, and those can prove tricky. So one tire was giving a little bit of slip. So you will have those things with a lower height, with a flatter cornering, and you will keep a good stiffness. Perhaps even less stiffness than with that Fiesta ST line. So then you have the best of both worlds. Also the steering wheel is better. This steering wheel I like a little bit more. It's a little bit smaller to begin with, which is nice for a quick directional change. The thickness is, I think, a little bit thicker than that of the ST line, but now I made it a lot thicker with this suede pad on, and that feels fantastic. Of course you can also do this with the Fiesta, and I would recommend to do so, but these seats, they are really hugging you, and that's not the case with the Fiesta. I think you need ST, and then I'm still wondering if it will hug as nice as these bucket seats, because Japanese people are a little bit less corpulent, less wide, less big. And for me, I'm a tall guy, but I have a nice slender frame. So wide shoulders, but the middle area is still narrow, and there's where the chair gives that bucket seat assistance. So this is really hugging me. And you will not find it in the Fiesta ST, because that would be a little bit too wide. So good for Europeans, also good for those that are a little bit more bulky or heavier. Could be that they are even wider, or it could be that they have a little bit additional size or fat. For your consideration, I'm 1.88 meters, so 188 centimeters, and weigh about 80 kilograms. But I sit perfectly in this type of seat. So this area, as you can see here, it really gives good support. And if that would be wider, you would still be slipping around, which is not the case with this car. Also on the other side, you can see there it is, really supporting you. Well, the other one had a pop-up here. A little bit the infotainment system. I also like this analog gauges a lot nicer. And this gear box, shorter throws, so shorter, and also the ratios would go faster into the RPM, so it gives you more accelerating drive. Foundering car out.